So today, on the Gregorian calendar, it is December the 6th, 2017. And on the Hebrew calendar, it is the 18th of Kislev, 5778. The countdown for the 24th day of Kislev is on. And those who've been following my videos know by now that that is the day where Israel rises and Israel's enemies crash to the ground. That is the day. We don't know what year, but we know that that is the day. And again, I will preface this video, as I do with all videos in the future, explaining what I am wearing. I am wearing the clothing of shame and the yellow star. Clothing of shame and the yellow star that the Crusaders forced the Jews to wear while they were slaughtering, pillaging, and murdering them. I do it in the honor of every Jew that had suffered and or died during these horrible events, and to testify against these European nations who perpetrated these ungodly crimes against the holy people. Revelation 17. Verse 6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the holy people, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua. Two groups of people. The holy people and those who died for Yeshua's sake. There is no such a person as Jesus. So, today, as we all know now, and I will do another video at after 12 o'clock noon in response to Donald Trump's speech. But here we have the king at the Vatican, the king of Rome, the little horn, right on Fox News 1 hour ago. Here it is at 7:26 a.m. Francis, it says, to keep status quo in Jerusalem to avoid conflict. Francis spoke in support of the status quo in Jerusalem on Wednesday, calling for wisdom and prudence in order to avoid conflict. The Roman Catholic leader's comments came after President Donald Trump announced plans for the U.S. to support the relocation of Israeli capital to Jerusalem and for the U.S. embassy to be relocated there as well. He said he was profoundly concerned about recent developments regarding Jerusalem, which he called a special vocation for peace. Notice how they love to use that word. Paul talks about that in First Thessalonians 5, I believe. And a sacred place for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. And my question is to him, so what you're saying is that it should be a sacred place for both Cain and Abel, for both the innocent and the murderers? Is that what you're saying? He appealed to all sides to respect the status quo of the city as according to the United Nations resolution. He says, I prayed to the Lord, well, we know who his Lord is, that its identity is preserved and strengthened for the benefit of the Holy Land, the Middle East, and the whole world, that wisdom and prudence prevail to prevent new elements of tension from being added to a global context already convulsed by so many cruel conflicts. Francis expressed his views about Jerusalem during a meeting with a Palestinian delegation of religious and intellectual leaders at a weekly Wednesday audience. Notice, not with the Jews. The Vatican said the meeting with Palestinians was prearranged and happened to coincide with Trump's announcement the same day. At the meeting, Francis, the little horn, said dialogue between all parties would come only through recognizing the rights of all people, noting that the Holy Land was the land par excellence of dialogue between God and mankind. The primary condition for that dialogue is reciprocal respect and a commitment to strengthening that respect for the sake of recognizing the rights of all people wherever they happen to be. So what you're saying is recognizing the rights of murderers to continue to murder the Jews. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? The calls against Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel continues to grow across the Islamic world. In addition to multiple countries, officials coming out against the move, 2 leading Lebanese newspapers issued scathing editorials against the United States. The English language Daily Star newspaper's front page features a full-page photo of Old City of Jerusalem with a headline reading, "No offense, Mr. President, Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine." Another paper, the An-Nahar, compared Trump to the late British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, who, why does it say hundreds? It was only 100 years ago. Issued a public statement now known as the Balfour Declaration that supported the creation of a national home for the Jewish people in the territory known as Palestine. Trump Balfour of the century gifts Jerusalem to Israel, the paper's Wednesday headline reads. So what I'm going to talk about is the little horn sticking his nose where it does not belong. And what I will do is go through 3 simple definitions of the status quo as he puts it. So what is the status quo? Number 1, it is the acceptance and the condoning of continual murderous terrorist doctrine of the jihadis in Jerusalem, in the holy city. Number 2, it is the continuation of the banishment of the Jews, and by extension, the banishment of all Israel from their homeland. Number 3, the status quo, as the little horn at the Vatican puts it, it is the attempted blocking of the Messiah, Israel's Messiah, from opening the door to the kingdom of Zion to all the righteous, from Abel to the present. This man is the opposer. The man, the little horn at the Vatican, is the blasphemer. He is the opposer of Israel's Messiah. Yeshua, Israel's Messiah. He's that opposer. Watch what he does carefully. It is written that he will lead one more crusade with the 10 toes, 10 horns, whatever you want to call them, against the Messiah himself at the very last. To those of you who have a Catholic background, and before I continue any further, you Baptists, Methodists, and all of them, you can't say you don't have a Catholic background because your religion does. Catholicism was started by Constantine. And every one of your religions go all the way back to Constantine. So each one of you needs to reevaluate your practices, your religious practices. And those of you in the United States, you will. Because many of those who were driven out of Europe into the United States are children of the kingdom and don't know it. Israelites. Because you were the hated, you were the rejected, you were the exiled. The word exile is used a lot in old American vernacular concerning those who left Great Britain and Europe. They fled the kings of Europe. They fled the 10 kingdoms of Europe. So, once again, I will make my remarks concerning Donald Trump's speech. Nobody has heard his speech yet. Everything that's happening right now is all pure speculation. But the reactions coming from the nations tells a story. It exposes them who they are. It exposes them as opposers, as anti-Messiah.